The Manitoban city of Narcisse is a small, quaint place with not much tourism for most of the year. However, for a few days in every spring, the ground erupts in a slithering mass of red-sided garter snakes. Why do these living noodles get together in such massive numbers? What are they doing for so long underground? Well, not surprisingly, it's all about surviving long enough to pass along those genes. It is, after all, the true meaning of life, death, and taxonomy.
Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter, or visit us at LD Taxonomy, or visit us at our home on the web at ldtaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, to Tristan Taylor, Jesse Raspulich, Carol Raspulich, and Richard Kaspar. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on.
And today we're talking about a North American noodle of many varieties, but more on that later.
So many noodles.
Yes. But what are we actually talking about? I guess I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the red-sided garter snake.
Yeah.
Which is a subspecies of the common garter snake.
And then there are subspecies of that. No,
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, I think it's the common garter snake is the binomial nomenclature. And then red-sided is one of many.
That's what a subspecies is.
So it's got three. So it's the trinomial nomenclature. But we're going to call it here, snake it to the limit, and slither into her DMs.
Oh.
It's a dumb thing, but it'll make sense when I talk about the major fact. This is, by the way, courtesy of a U-Haul truck I saw.
You know what? At this point, we take them where we can get them.
Yeah.
For animal ideas.
Yeah, this is I think the second animal that with the idea was like me just reading the side of a U-Haul truck at a stoplight. I'm like, gosh, I gotta jot that down. It's wrong.
I get some from TikTok. It's wrong. It's illegal. It's unethical.
It's morally reprehensible for them to give me animal facts on the side of the U-Haul truck. No, it's the information on it is incorrect.
Is it
exaggerated? At least from what I could tell. But why don't you taxonomize us, Captain?
Okay. Well, it's in the kingdom you know, love, and are in, the kingdom Animalia. It's in the phylum that you like and love and gotta have, Chordata, because you gotta have a spine in order to walk around and stuff.
It's what
it's in.
I've always said that a spine is absolutely necessary to. You're not living really unless you have a spine.
It is most necessary to have a spine.
It is most necessary. I haven't thought of that.
The class is Reptilia, which you are not in, unfortunately.
No, but the strokes are.
Except for like maybe the deep state, if you're listening.
The deep state are reptilian masters, the Time Lords or whatever. The Time TVA, Time Variant
Authority.
I forgot what they named the lizard people, but
the order is Squamata. The suborder is a boar's head ultimate with lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise.
Really? That's what this is called?
That's what my suborder is.
I was like, there's You can go. You can go to Publix. You get a pub sub and say, "Hey, can I have a Serpentes, please?"
Yeah, I think I made that exact joke like within our first 10 episodes.
Oh, really?
So if you're, that's one for the day ones. So yeah, suborder is Serpentes, and the family is Culibridae.
Colubridae?
Yeah, isn't the Spanish like culebra is like a cobra or something?
Maybe. It's a Puerto Rican municipality.
That's it. The genus is the Thalmar, the high elves that don't want you to worship Talos. Thamnophis.
Yeah, Thamnophis.
Thamnophis. Yeah. And then the species, the binomial name is Thamnophis sertalis. But then the trinomial name is Thamnophis sertalis perietalis.
So basically, like, if you are a knight and you're dueling another knight named Sir Tallis. And, I mean, if you want to beat Sir Tallis, you got to parry a Tallis.
Yeah.
Remember to block and remember to parry a Tallis. But yeah, Thamnophis Sertalis Parietalis, which, since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for my favorite part of the show, Bitter Groups. The part of the show where I ask you, Joe, a question, and that question is the same every time. What is the name of a group of this animal, or what is a term of entry, or what is the collective noun? We're talking about snakes. I don't think we've done this one yet. I mean, we've done snakes before, but I don't think we've done this one. So I doubt you remember. If you saw a group of snakes boy howdy are we about to talk about a group of snakes. Would you call it A, a nest of snakes, B, a cluster of snakes, C, a tangle of snakes, or D, a curse of snakes?
The curse of snakes is very Old Testament Moses-y.
Nest, cluster, tangle, and curse.
Nest. Final answer.
Ding, ding, ding. Correct.
Nice.
It's a nest of snakes.
Yeah.
I thought I would get you with tangle, but
no. Tangle makes sense, especially for this one, but I could see where your mind would go there, or why your mind would go there.
Well, the other ones make sense as well. So,
but nest is boring and disappointing, as terms of entry often are.
Yeah, I should have put like burrow and colony or something like that. Also, I wanted to point out that the family Colubridae, which we mentioned earlier, is the largest family of snakes.
Well, culebra is snake in Spanish.
Oh, yes.
But also serpentes is also snake in Spanish.
I think that it sounds familiar. It's one of those vocab words that that don't come up very often in school and doesn't come up all that often in conversation. So,
yeah.
Yeah. What does it look like?
Let's talk about what it looks like. Well, the common garter snake is a long, thin noodle. A long snake that's thin. It's not like a python where it gets thick in the middle, because
it's just swallowed a baby deer.
Right. Because there aren't baby deer small enough for this guy. Most have multicolored stripes that run the length of their bodies from head to tail. The common garter snakes, like the whole species and all of its subspecies comes in like a ton of different colors, including green, blue, yellow, gold, red, orange, brown, and black. Our friend, I am assuming, has red on his side.
Funnily enough, It doesn't really. It's more yellow.
Oh, is it just like sometimes it might be a little bit like of a burnt yellow. It's like red, that's red. Like in the animal kingdom when stuff is blue or purple. It's like it's blue. It's not really that blue.
The ones in California are like straight up red though. So I don't know why they call this one the red-sided garter snake. Because it is yellow, maybe a little on the white side.
Cool. Well, let's talk about how big it is. Welcome to the beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show, the part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms. Through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also part of the show that is introduced by you when you send in an audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering the words Measure Up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. We don't have a new Measure Up intro this week. So I'm going to switch things up instead of like farming our faves, which we've done a lot of.
I feel like we need to
recently.
Maybe like send us a Measure Up. All you have to do, and I know you just said it, but I said it fast. All you have to do is pull out your phone. If you have an iPhone, it's got a voice memo app. Say, Measure Up into your phone, into the voice app. Stop recording. There's a little share button, a little box with an arrow on it. Click that, and then go to email and type in ldtaxonomy@gmail.com, and then press send. Probably put a subject. Measure Up. And then, voila, you've sent it to us. And you'll get to hear yourself on the show. And we'll say thank you. And we'll call you up. Well, we won't call you up by name if you don't want to. But, yeah, that's it's as easy as that. We're back to weird animal sounds.
Yeah. We'll give you 5% if you get this one. Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
Check out.
What was that?
The last part was a full-grown man.
Did you say?
Oh, it was a video on a loop, and it was going to be check out this blank sound, and I didn't want to hear you to hear what the blank was.
Oh, I thought he said Chekhov. I thought he named whatever that was after Chekhov.
No, check out. He was trying to say check out this animal, but I didn't want you to hear it.
All right, so it's kind of like I don't know. Oh, what are the options?
I don't have any options.
Oh, I gotta.
What do you think?
Come up with this
I'll give you a
whole
hint.
cloth.
It's a mammal.
This is fill in the blank. This is the worst.
Yeah, but it's a mammal.
What am I taking the ACT here?
It's a mammal, and it's in a zoo. It's not in a house.
I figured that it wasn't in a house. I don't know. An ostrich? Oh wait, you said mammal. Sorry, never mind.
Yeah.
What are they called? Urdus? Oh, this African gazelle.
Like a bovine thing?
Yeah, an urdu.
Final answer? Correct answer was bear. It's a black bear.
That's a bear?
This funny bear noise. Have your volume up.
Is that a text-to-speech guy? Is it the text-to-speech guy?
I forgot you've never used TikTok. Text-to-speech is all over TikTok, and they have also released an AI that will like mask your voice.
Why?
And like change your voice on the fly, which is just crazy. China.
Yeah,
Man.
so now you can
not China, man.
Now you can that'll make making ransom calls so much more streamlined.
Right, exactly.
Now you don't need those like.
I guess they really did already have that.
Now I don't need those extra apparatuses. Like it also is a lot more cost effective to hold people ransom. Like this is great. I'm all for it.
Yeah. So let's talk about length. They are up to 4 feet long. That's on the upper end. They're usually not that long, but they can be up to 4 feet long. That's probably above average. Let's be on the upper end of average. So how many garter snakes go into the height of the tallest tier, the tallest gallery in the Hanging Gardens of Babylon?
How do they know that? How does anybody know that?
Because somebody recorded how many cubits it was. Here's a hint. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon are among the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The gardens were built on a stepped pyramid-shaped building covered in plants and vegetation. The gardens were said to be a gift from King Nebuchadnezzar II to his wife, Queen Emitis of Media. Media was apparently green, like a green mountainous country, and she was real sick of the flat plains of Babylon. So he built her what was essentially a green mountain. Although not quite the size of a mountain. Like a small hill.
Well, Babylon was definitely known for its opulence.
Yeah, there are some, anytime there's anything in ancient history, people are like, maybe it didn't exist. And we're like, stop ruining our fun, nerd. It existed. Josephus said it did.
Pliny the Elder told us.
Yeah. Well, in this case, Josephus really did write about the Gardens of Babylon. But he lived several hundred years after the gardens were said to. He was quoting a guy. We have him quoting another ancient historian about it. And there's other historians from ancient times, some of which were supposedly had visited Babylon when the Hanging Gardens would have been there.
This is basically what is the height of this building?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. It was like several platforms supported by marble,
like a ziggurat
columns.
style.
Yeah, ziggurat style, but it's not like an enclosed space.
I'm gonna say 400 feet. Oh, so the answer is 100. Done. Easy.
100 snakes.
This is easy. 100 snakes.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Correct answer was 18 snakes.
This is the most pathetic Hanging Gardens I've ever heard of.
The uppermost gallery was described as 50 cubits high, or 75 feet.
Gosh, you couldn't even see it from a mile away. Never mind.
See, that's the thing. It's like
it's
the
ancient
Hanging
stuff.
Gardens of Babylon are extremely doable.
Now
It's not then too. A 75-foot building. If you could build the pyramids, you could certainly build.
You just have to grow some plants on the pyramids,
garden.
and then suddenly you've beaten the hangry gardens. This is a
the Hanksious Gardens.
What is it? The Little Shop of Horrors. So the hangry gardens of Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
Goodness.
The Hanging Gardens were real.
Because I'm just picturing
that.
like a ziggurat, and those things can get really, really tall because. It's just limited by your material. It's pretty much just limited by your materials because it's so structurally sound.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't, I don't think it was opulent. It was more about the opulence of these beautiful plants all over this marble stone structure rather than how did they build that? That's incredible. But yeah, I don't see why they couldn't build that. That seems right to me.
Yeah, every culture in that day should have had their own hanging gardens. That should have been kind of like this the Joint Commission seal. It's like, okay, we're good. We're
built
legit.
it on a whim. He built it on a whim to satisfy his wife's nostalgia.
So he is Nebuchadnezzar. That's the Nebuchadnezzar that burned Jerusalem to the ground, right? The second.
No, this is. I don't remember.
No,
I
it
tried to
must be
figure out
because the Nebuchadnezzar was the next monarch after him was Darius of Persia. So Persia came and took and defeated and occupied Babylon, and that was the next monarch. So this must be Nebuchadnezzar.
Well, Nebuchadnezzar 1 and Nebuchadnezzar 2 were separated by a long time.
Oh, were they? Then maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah. But Nebuchadnezzar 2 was like toward the end of when the minor prophets were. I think there was 400 years in the intertestamental period. So I think Micah or something was like in the 400 BC or before 400 BC. And King Nebuchadnezzar was like 600 BC. So maybe he's in the stories.
Maybe he's that Nebuchadnezzar, the Jeremiah Nebuchadnezzar. But
the Nebuchadnezzar 1 is like smack dab in the middle of the Old Testament. So like 1000 or so.
So, and the Nebuchadnezzar that we know and love, it came way after David.
Old donkey man.
Yeah,
himself.
The pendulum man, the guy who was at one point like, the God of the Hebrews is the only God, the most powerful. We must worship him, and then the other end, it's like, worship me or be burned alive.
Yeah, Nebuchadnezzar II destroyed the temple of Jerusalem and initiated the Babylonian captivity of the Jewish population.
So it's the second one. That's the one we know and love.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes sense because during that time, he was probably the most powerful person in the known world.
So, let's talk weight. They're 5 ounces. So how many garters? How many? He's a little guy. How many garter snakes go into the weight of Big Bud 16V 747 when it is fully ballasted?
Big Bud?
I'll give you 1% towards this answer if you can tell me what the heck I'm talking about.
I mean, a 747 is a plane. Ballasts.
Not in this case.
Sounds like something that would be used for a ship.
Mm-hmm. So, what's your final answer? What vehicle is this?
Is it a plane that's been modified into a ship and it's called Big Bud?
Is that your final answer? No, it's a tractor. That's a tractor. Big Bud's a tractor.
I didn't know tractors needed ballast.
The biggest tractor. I didn't either. But yeah, Big Bud is the biggest tractor ever. The top of the cab is 14 feet high. Ballast, I looked it up. What the heck is ballast in terms of a tractor? Ballast is usually a liquid or a foamy material that is used to fill the tire to add weight, which increases traction and cuts down on horsepower imbalance. So it just weights the tractor in the right spot. Apparently, you'd think if you look at a tractor, the where's the weight? In the back, right?
Whatever it's hauling.
Thicker.
Yeah.
Well, just like the tractor itself, you'd think the weight is in the back. But apparently a lot of the weight is unequally distributed up front. And a lot of the horsepower is up front. I guess because that's where the engine is.
I also feel like it would be like the movie
heavy.
Cars where they would fall over if they were weighted in the back too much. Like if you accelerated too quickly, the whole thing would just topple over.
Typically not a problem for a tractor.
No, those things can, I mean, they don't move really quickly, but like if you go from completely standing still to just like gunning it, I imagine like the top can lift up and then you just roll forward and then the whole thing comes crashing down. Unless it's
apparently one of the things that you could use for ballast in a tractor is methanol, which is the toxic byproduct of alcohol, of spirits. Corn whiskey.
I'm going to say 14,000 pounds. That's like a semi-truck, right? 14 feet tall is really, really, really tall. And so what? That's 7 tons. Maybe that's too much. Let's say no.
It's like standing on your house, a one-story house.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna stick with my
top part.
I'm gonna stick with my gut and say 14,000 pounds times 16 ounces.
Finally,
No,
how many snakes?
42,000 snakes.
Final answer.
Wait. Yes.
We're talking fully ballasted here.
Yeah.
Final
I
answer?
never go anywhere unless I'm fully ballasted. Yes, 42,000.
Well, the correct answer is 43. I mean, 432,000 snakes. Big Bud weighs 135,000 pounds.
That's a big bud.
It is a big bud.
It's a very big bud.
It's a huge tractor.
Biggest bud.
Yeah.
I like big buds.
And we are the best
lie.
of buds. And we're the biggest of buds.
Yeah.
Let's talk about fast facts
All right.
before we get into the major fact, if you will. Their habitat. Garter snakes are found in forests, fields, prairies, streams, wetlands, meadows, marshes, and ponds. Often near water. They like to be near water. Who doesn't when you need it to survive? You know?
Are you? That's
Their
not
range-
rhetorical.
I was asking you who who doesn't. Name one. When you need water to survive, who doesn't want to live near it? Desert animals.
The tardigrade.
They like water and moist leaves.
No, they just need one molecule of it, though.
They don't need it. They like it.
And then they're
though.
good.
They're not extremophiles. They're actually. Haven't you heard the Cosmos Sheldrake song about tardigrades where it's like, I can do all this, I can like survive all this stuff, but I'd rather just sit by my fire, you know, like, and they're like hobbits, capable.
I'm
but
I'm gonna stop you right at have you heard the Cosmos Sheldrake song?
let's talk about the range. They're geographically, they're found as far as the southernmost tip of Florida. We got them. We got it.
We got him.
Hot chocolate, hot. And as far north as
Whenever someone says we got it, I think of that scene in Polar Express, and I've only seen that movie
too.
once, and it's stuck with me. Just hear.
I watch it every year. I love that movie.
It's okay, but it's
I started to love it ironically, and now it's real love. It's so weird, but I enjoy it.
It is really weird.
For the Tom Hanks of it all. As they also live as far north as Canada's Northwestern Territories. So that's a far-flung noodle.
For a snake.
They eat frogs, newts, earthworms, leeches, slugs, fish, lizards, crustaceans, and insects. And garter snake bites aren't that dangerous to humans, but their bite can cause itching and irritation. They don't have fangs like a viper, but many garter snakes have very, very small teeth. If you look at a picture, if you type in garter snake mouth, you're going to see like no teeth. So either I was reading that some people were saying some don't have any teeth at all, and the ones that do have very small teeth. So whether it is very small or not at all, it appears as if they are toothless.
They have teeth. They're just very small.
Well, some definitely have teeth, but
At least the red-sided garter snake.
they are
has teeth.
quite small.
It's like Herbie got to it.
But-
It's a very humble bumble.
Yeah. They're not vipers, so they don't have the pits full of venom that are injected through tooth straws. Rather, their saliva has a mild venom that can be toxic to small prey and irritating to humans. Some species ooze a stinky liquid when they're threatened.
Same.
I mean, who doesn't?
What is the thing? Mood. That's what people say.
Yeah, I'm scared oozless.
Mood. Ooze Macappa.
Ernest scared oozless. They are resistant to poisons that might kill a human, including the toxic poisons found on certain toads and newts. So they like to eat these toads and newts, and this little snake can eat the toad that would kill you, you know? So
Or give you just crazy psychedelic trips.
Yeah. They have no trips except for around the pond. But that's all I got.
All right. The major fact is I'm calling it's in the style of a Fall Out Boy song. So it's called Tying the Knot, in parentheses 10,000 snakes in their dens. 10,000 snakes in their dens.
That sounded more like like maybe a Kansas or maybe even an Audio Adrenaline or
like Bless the Lord, parentheses 10,000 reasons.
Yeah.
And it's 10,000.
Okay.
But I couldn't find anything that like really worked with 10,000 reasons. So and all I could think of was the Disturbed song, 10,000 Fists in the Air. So with Thanksgiving coming up, actually, this is probably going to come out like 2 days before Thanksgiving. I mean, not everybody's going to listen to it at the same time, but if you're listening to this on release day, Thanksgiving is around the corner. Many of us are prepping for large family gatherings, but you ain't got nothing on this snake. Even though its biggest gatherings happen in Canada, where they don't celebrate Thanksgiving. Apparently, they're not thankful for that much, except boxes. I don't know what happens up there.
They celebrate Thanksgiving in October.
Well, that's completely inappropriate. Each year, red-sided garter snakes will congregate in the inner lake of Manitoba, which is a province in Canada right next to Ontario. It's just west of Ontario. This is an area near Winnipeg, which is, I think, the largest city in Manitoba. And they will congregate in what is quite possibly the largest gathering of snakes in the world. In the area known as the Narcisse snake dens, some 70,000 snakes come to nest in the sinkholes that are created in the limestone. So the site of the U-Haul that I read for this idea said it was 150,000 snakes and called it one of the largest gatherings of vertebrates in the world. And I guess there's a lot of room for one of the largest, but man, is that not even close.
Man, yeah, go to a Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah. First of all, the Taylor Swift. No, how many people can go to that? Didn't you mention that in a Measure Up? How many people were at a Taylor Swift concert?
Yeah. Also, apparently in the news, like Taylor Swift is having a concert. She's having a tour, and Ticketmaster got absolutely, utterly decimated by people trying to buy tickets.
I keep forgetting
and it's their fault for some reason.
I keep forgetting that Taylor Swift is a force in this world.
She is, and Johanna got tickets. Like, she was very lucky.
But I don't think there's like one concert where there's 150,000 people. I think that over the course of her concerts, it dwarfs that number. But I don't think there's because the Giant Stadium holds like 90,000 people, and that's a ton. I don't know. I have no idea.
Largest concert ever.
Anyway, there's like Adelie penguins get together in a colony of like 500,000, and bait fish those giant bait balls. They get together in much larger numbers. So 150,000 is actually like amateur hour at the Apollo. And it's not even that much. It's half that, 70,000 snakes. But it's still something to be. It's still 70,000 snakes is nothing to shake your finger at. Even though that's exactly what I just did. If you're watching this, so that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where Indy is dropped into a pit of snakes and the floor is just moving. Yeah, that's not fiction in Manitoba. As long as you're not squeamish around the idea of snakes, I highly recommend the Nat Geo video covering this. People come from all over the country and all over the world to try to catch a glimpse of these pits, of these sinkholes where the snakes come out and mate outside of the sinkholes. So you just have these big pits where there are, I mean, it's 70,000 snakes, and there are only 4 places where they can be in Manitoba. And each one of these 4 places is about the size of a living room. So each one of these 4 sinkholes is about the size of a living room. And the reason why they do this is because they're snakes. They're cold-blooded reptiles, and they live in Canada. It is not common to find reptiles very far north where it gets super cold. In fact, it gets down to minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. It's colder than Mars. It's colder than the surface of Mars. And
I think we've done the rubber boa. Like the major fact was that they live in Canada.
Yeah, and they do this thing called brumating, which is the reptile version of hibernating. Because, I mean, negative 50 degrees is enough to kill any animal, let alone an animal that needs to regulate its body temperature outside. So that's why most snakes live in the tropics and subtropics, because, they can be in the shade to cool down or in the sun to warm up. It's not an option when it's negative 50 outside. So they brumate, they hibernate, reptile version of hibernating. It's basically hibernating just without the sleeping part. They slow their metabolism, they slow their movement and their breathing and their heart rate. And it's as much about maintaining body temperature as it is about conserving energy. But I mean, you can't just stop where you are on the ground and as a snake and just go into this brumate state. And expect to live through the winter. Now they have to go underground, and the way that they get underground enough to be able to get below the frost line is through these sinkholes. And there are only 4 of them that are large enough to accommodate these snakes. And so all of the snakes in the area, all 70,000, have these 4 places to be in, and each one of them is the size of a living room. So even if you divide it up evenly, what is that, like 17,000 snakes? Yeah, 17,500 snakes in each one, and some of them are larger than others. They don't divide it up evenly. They don't call out. It's like, okay, you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All the 2s come with me. You're coming to this sinkhole, and all the. But still, like if there's 10,000 in one, that means that there's 25,000 in another. And so all of them wriggling around. And so during the winter, they'll live in these sinkholes. And then in the spring, they will come out of these sinkholes for a few days to mate. And then they disperse to now that it's okay to be outside and not die as a reptile. And then as winter approaches, they will recongregate in these places. So it's kind of like a migration. And there are so many of them. And they don't hiss or rattle or make any sounds, but all of them wriggling in one place apparently sounds like wind rushing through trees really loudly. And so when they come out of the big global event that brings people all over the place to come see is these few days, maybe like 3 or 4 days where they come out to mate. And you never know when it's going to happen. It's all based on weather. It could be well into spring, but it's still cold, it's still cloudy, it's still rainy or something, and they don't come out. So you never know what's going to happen. It's kind of just like, you're at the whims of nature. Females are larger and less numerous, much less numerous than males. There's one female to every 100 males. So the males need to navigate an ocean of writhing angel hair pasta to find the one pasta strand that's slightly larger than the rest. And they do this not by visual, because imagine that. They use pheromones. And that's how they'll track down a female. But the competition is really, really fierce to mate. And they don't fight. They're not really equipped to fight. So they'll pile onto the female. And in fact, so many can be piled onto one female that they turn into this big ball of snakes that can tumble around, like down slopes and off rocky outcroppings and stuff, which is just, if you don't like snakes, this is not for you. Don't watch this video.
Imagine you're just a hiker. You're a hiker, and all of a sudden a giant ball of snakes
just falls out of a tree next to you or
descends upon you.
Oh, gosh. Our snakes will blot out the sun. We will hike in the shade. And what the males are doing, and if you watch it, they're all like on top of her, and they're just like kind of nudging her with their faces. They're kind of driving their heads into her head. And she's actually significantly bigger than them. But the goal for the males is to literally irritate her to the point where she opens up a gland to spray a repellent at them. But that also leaves her open for mating. So it's just to irritate her to the...
So it's like in a video game when somebody's invulnerable until they drop their shields to attack you.
Yeah, they drop their shields to attack you, exposing the big glowing core of their gun, and you shoot that or whatever. So they just spend all their time like just poking this female till she gets so mad at them that she abandons all common sense and leaves herself open in order to spray some snake repellent, which she could have just asked the Adam West Batman. I'm sure he has some snake repellent on his belt. And so this area was actually the site of one of Manitoba's first labor strikes, and the reason for this labor strike was there was a bunch of workers at a construction site, and they absolutely refused to continue working because they were surrounded by snakes. There used to be a lot more of these dens and a lot more snakes, but people have built over them. The entire dens have been destroyed on purpose because, like, you have a neighborhood and then like a couple of 100 feet away, or maybe a couple dozen feet away, once a year, there's just tens of thousands of snakes over there. And, people generally don't take too kindly to that. Maybe one snake.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 snakes. But not 70,000 snakes. And so they're like, oh, let's kill them all. And so they do. And that's why the 4 areas that are left in this region of Manitoba are preserved. And if you go there, there's actually a giant statue of these 2 intertwined snakes that they named Sarah and Sam. So you can go get your picture taken next to them, which is probably just a weak consolation prize for going to the place and not seeing the snakes, because you only had a couple of days and you had no idea when it was going to happen. And yeah, that's it. I again, if you're fine, if I personally don't find snakes weird or creepy or gross at all. I think they're super cool. So seeing a giant mass of them is definitely unnerving. But if you got a phobia, steer clear of these YouTube videos. Outside of that, check it out because it's awesome. And like kids take field trips there. Again, these snakes are harmless. And so, the kids are picking them up, and there's actually a video of a guy like walking through them, and he just lifts up his foot and kind of slowly plants it down, and the floor is snakes. It is just snakes, and then it parts, and then he could put his foot on the ground, and so it's really something when the floor is snakes. That sounds like a plasmid, because there's in BioShock. Your palms are bees, but it would be cool to have a plasmid where the floor is snakes.
Yeah,
I guess venomous ones. It wouldn't be very useful to have them not be venomous, but
well, it would be hard to walk around, certainly.
Well, I mean, if you're a spliced up junkie,
psychopath,
you're gonna step on all those snakes unless they bite you. So you got to make sure that they're decent snakes, hefty ones. And that's all I got.
That's all I got, except for the largest concert ever was a free concert in 1993 at Copacabana Beach. There were 3 million people there.
Wow, that's why it's the hottest spot north of Havana.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Wait, what? No, wait. That song came out way before that. That concert.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's not the first time we've had a lot of people in one place.
Yeah. Copacabana, I guess, like the beach is there was another concert, the Rolling Stones, 101 broke 1 million, Copacabana.
It sounds like just I got to look up pictures because I'm trying to envision a place that's big enough to, like, where you could be, there's like everyone can hear the concert.
Well, there's like there's this one right here, 1.5 million at the Philadelphia Museum of Art in 2005. It was a festival. Live 8.
Live 8? Oh, that's the name of the festival.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And speaking of Havana, there was another one, 1.1 million in Havana.
Oh, for some reason I was like, like a football stadium is near the max of what we could of gatherings, which is not even
just
close.
I guess a beach, yeah, a large beach like Daytona Beach. You could there could be a ton of people out there.
True, but like all listening to a concert. All doing the same thing. All there for the same reason.
Yeah.
Like a big festival or something. That's one thing where there's tons of stuff to do. But if you're all like just listening to one person, I imagine that there's like you could be so far out on the fringes that you might as well have just streamed it. In the 90s when streaming was a huge thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, you just look at this. There's people, like, maybe a mile or more away that are at, quote-unquote, the concert. But if they can hear it, it's distant.
Yeah, they're like, huh, I thought I heard a drum beat. Nah, never mind. We're at this concert, right? You and me? Or are we just on a beach? At what point are you at the concert?
At what point are you just on the beach?
Can you, if a concert is happening on the beach, is everyone on the beach at the concert? Then every beach,
you could break this if you should go to a crowded beach on the 4th of July or something and start playing music.
Yeah, just with your guitar.
There was like 1 million people at my concert.
You can just go to the beach on the 4th during like the Air and Sea show with your melodica, and suddenly you have like one of the most attended melodica concerts of all time.
that though, like, man, being in that crowd, something goes wrong and you're crushed. People freak out a little bit, you get crushed.
Yeah.
There was just recently a crush.
Yeah,
Somewhere.
it's
Forget.
very tasty orange soda.
It's or a very horrible accident.
Yeah, or a very laid back sea turtle. Yeah, you just never.
All right, let's
You
get
never know
this
with this
done.
stuff. All right, for you out there, in podcasting, that was the red-sided garter snake. So stay warm. Don't neglect to gather together, and irritate your females like the red-sided garter snake here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
Irritate your females. I'm going to let Johanna know. I feel like that's good advice.
Let her know about it 15 times before you go to bed tonight.
Mm-hmm.